In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I painted these pink peonies using oil over watercolour. Hi, I'm Marion Dutton and this channel is all about oil, acrylic and watercolour. A real mixed bag of goodies. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you also like a little variety in your life, then do consider subscribing to the channel. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I use some gorgeous transparent washes and allowed them to blend and mix directly onto the canvas. We're then going to switch to creamy oils to create those petals. Let's dive in. I chose a complementary colour scheme for this painting using magenta and viridian as the main colours. I begin by wetting the background. We're going to be using a complementary colour scheme for this painting. Next, I'll add some viridian, or you can use phthalo green. And into that wet mixture, we will add some phthalo blue and some magenta. Once you've got your colours in place, you want to do a little bit of tipping and let the paint all merge and blend directly on the canvas. And you can also use a spritzer to just spray on that paint and let it run and dribble. And here I'm just using some plain water to drop into that damp watercolour paint to create some watercolour blooms. This is a really pretty effect for the background. And then I'll repeat over on the other side. I cover the back flower with a beautiful light wash of magenta. And working wet into wet, I start to drop in a lovely purple colour for some of the shadows. I also drop in touches of cadmium red as well while that initial wash is still wet, so all the colours merge and blend together. I'm then going to repeat over on the main flower. Once the flowers are completely blocked in, I then begin working on the foliage, and for that I'm using a very, very dark green mixture. And the shine on the vase is created by using some plain water and then a paper towel to simply just drag down and create the effect. We're lifting out the paint to create the effect of the shine. And of course, no watercolour is complete without a little bit of splattering. Okay, so I'm going to be covering the whole of the flowers and the vase with an oil painting medium. I'm using a Zest It clear medium, but something like a linseed oil or a walnut oil would also work. This simply means we'll be working wet into that lovely wet layer of oil. And don't worry about that watercolour underneath, the oil will not disturb it at all. And again, if you want to learn a little bit more about this technique, do check out my video, which will be popping up on the screen or in the description box below. So in order to demonstrate the petal strokes, I've loaded up with some very pale pink and just a small amount of that medium to help things flow off the brush. And you'll notice that all of my strokes are all pointing to the centre. All the strokes are aimed towards that centre. Make sure your brush is on the chiselled edge. And again, just that lovely little flick will create these lovely petal strokes. So again, this is in real time. And what I'm doing now is positioning the brush right on the edge of the petal and making sure that all my strokes are directed to the centre of that petal. That oil painting medium underneath helps the paint to flow, and I'm not looking to cover all of the watercolour that we did in the first stage. We're just tinting and just creating the edges of those petals. So again, here you can see I'm loading up that brush, getting that chiselled edge, and then flicking all of my strokes to that centre point. And that's how we create the edges of those petals. I'm using a nice pale pink mixture. And I use a nice yellow colour to create the stamens in the centre. And finally, using a nice flat brush, I begin to add the shine on the front of the vase. The paint is going on quite thick to make the area look really shiny. And you can also add a couple of highlights to your leaves. But don't overdo the highlighting stages. And once you're happy, it's time to sign the painting. And here is the finished painting using the oil over watercolour technique on a canvas board. I really do hope you've enjoyed this demonstration, and if you are getting value from these lessons, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe and all that good stuff which makes YouTube like me even more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.